Hello, how you doing? Okay, this video is for other transgender people. Hello, my brothers and sisters. So, I, like probably you, read and watch everything out there about transgender people. You've probably, like me, seen all the videos on YouTube that there even are and everything, and there's a variety of opinions and everything. And hopefully you've noticed, like me, that the ones that are really making us look bad and the ones that are not. But also to remember back when you first were transitioning and remember all the lessons you've learned, okay? For example, I saw this one, it was a video of a trans woman. She was like at a liquor store or something like that and buying something, and the cashier kept misgendering her all the time. And she just had a fit in front of everybody. And the more angry she looked, the more like a man and the less like a woman she looked. And also the uglier she got, and the easier it was to not like her and to not listen to her and not even care what she's saying. She made it impossible to sympathize with her, to empathize with her. And by the time she left, you're just like if you have any tendency not to like transgender people, now you really don't like transgender people anymore, you know? So I look at that. At this point, it's easy to see the folly in her ways. Boy, she has a lot to learn, you know? You probably watch Blair White's videos like me. She did a video on it, and she's like, oh boy, excuse me a second, and gets up and goes and takes her hormones. I'm going to go take my hormones, you know? My hell. Like, hello, testosterone, you know? But like, an example like that, you know? Like, I remember, like, when I had only been on hormones for like 6 months or so, it takes your brain time to really get into the estrogen way of thinking, you know? Like, at first, there was this one cashier that kept misgendering him. He kept calling me bro all the time. Okay, bro, and he, and just laying it on thick with all, you know, dude, bro, just like everything in the book, you know, sir, just boom, just bombard me to death. And I would go in there every day, and it just, like, at one point, like, I used to carry a knife with me because I used to have a really big problem. Guys thinking I was a prostitute, like around like many times a day for like about a year and a half. People would think I was a prostitute, so I was just always scared of everybody all the time, and learning all these lessons about all kinds of stuff. I don't want to talk about it right now, but I wanted to stab him in the eyeball. I'd just like pull out my knife and just stab him in the eyeball, which would have killed him. And from his perspective, it wasn't really that hateful on his part, you know? It's kind of hard to do. If you're not used to hanging out with transgender people, it's kind of hard to call trans women she when you can tell and you know they were born a boy, you know? And even ones that way past, once you know they're transgender, then, you know, your imagination like fills in the gap, and you know, I mean, let's it's kind of like, you know, how the expression be the better man, you know, be the better woman or whatever, you know. That's the role we need to play. We're an extreme minority, and we can't walk around demanding too much space all arrogantly and like that. For one thing, it's unladylike, okay? And it makes you look ugly. It makes us all look really bad, and it's extremely ineffective. Okay, so now I've learned with many years of being on hormones now and getting down this female brain type thing. I mean, you have a female brain before to be transgender, but if you haven't been on hormones yet, wow, they certainly affect your thinking and how you react to things and how easily you get mad and how you solve problems and things like that. And then you see other women, and the more you go into the role of a woman, the more other women are influential on you. You know, like when you're a woman, other women you notice everything they do, and we're all teaching each other. We're all examples to each other. And you realize how true that is with time. So you start to really get to understand, how a woman does things, and stabbing someone or punching someone or being too mad at someone and all that. There's lots of women that do that, but when they do that, even if it's a cis woman, it's just unladylike. Like, get with the program. Are we men or are we women? That's not how a woman does things, okay? The way a woman does things is actually better than the way men do things in this case. So we might as well rise to the occasion and do it the better way, okay? And the better way is to not expect them to call you she. It'll hurt your feelings. It is painful. It does. Like, there's people that call me he and sir. Like, sir drives me crazy. Okay, sir. I'm like, there's something right here, right in my solar plexus that clinches up like that. And it hurts for a second. Oh, when that happens, And it just and then for a second I am mad, but then I realize, that's not the way to be. And then the muscles kind of relax. It's hard. It is. But I know better, And through knowing, you can affect your emotions. And I know that I know better. So I do not expect everybody to call me she and ma'am and her, okay? When people do, I can feel their kindness. They know I was born a boy, but they really are just trying to be really kind and loving. They're trying to help me. Everybody has a struggle. They're trying to help me as an individual in my struggle. And it's very appreciated. It's kind of cool because we can more easily see who the good guys are and who the bad guys are, Other people, it's a little bit harder to tell because everybody's so ordinary, But with us being such oddballs, it's you really get to see people's true colors really quick, and there's lots of good ones and bad ones, mostly ones that don't care, okay? So they're misgendering you just because they frankly, they don't care. They probably don't care about anyone but themselves with the narcissist epidemic, which is very real, going on today. So the way to handle it is to not handle it, to not care, okay? It's none of your business how other people think. That's something you can tell yourself. Well, if you hear people talking, you don't. When you hear people talking and they're saying things that's untrue about transgender people, and they're doing it because you're standing right there and you can tell, don't walk over to them and set them straight. It's none of your business what they're talking about, okay? Just ignore them and tell yourself, no, that's none of my business. They're entitled to their opinion. It doesn't matter, okay? Don't care, okay? You'll find friends. There's lots of people that like you as friends, as lovers. There's not a shortage of friends and lovers out there, okay? Especially if you can be the system. You hear other cis women talk about, I don't care if a lady doesn't swear and kick up her feet with mud all over the place and all that. Just let those women be a woman however they want to. That's none of your business either. But the truth is, doing things like a lady is a better way to do things. Women are the best. The womanly way to do things is just the way to be a champion. Do it, be a lady, be a woman, who cares if it's not cool? Don't call me a lady and I'm not, all that stuff, just whatever. That's your business. Do whatever you want. Me personally, I think being a lady is awesome. That's the way to do it. It's a system of being effective as a female. Okay, and females have had a rough time through history. So we've had to develop really cool ways of handling things, and plus at the same time teach our children that we care about how to handle things too. So we're leading by example besides just fixing our own problems, so it just really puts us in this really admirable place as far as that. So do it, be a lady, don't be a man, don't flex your muscles and what did you say? Don't do that. Okay? Another thing is there's something to understand, you know? Since we see the war against transgender people, the pros and cons, the antagonists and the protagonists, since we see it in greater detail than anybody else because it's us, we have a better understanding than other people. Okay? And you know this, and we know this. So one thing to understand is authorities from like churches and the people that don't like us, their leaders, the weakness in their argument is always that they're trying to prove, they're saying, a man is not a woman. Okay? If somebody's arguing a man is not a woman, therefore a trans woman isn't a woman, that's okay. That means they're idiots. Cuckoo, they're stupid. Okay? We never said we're the exact identical thing down to every chromosome and cell in the body is a woman. They said that. We didn't say that. They said that. Okay? We know what gender dysphoria is. If you don't know what gender dysphoria is, no. And you'll meet trans women that don't believe in gender dysphoria. It's their own business. They're wrong. Okay? It'll make you more healthy mentally to recognize you have gender dysphoria. Understand that. Gender dysphoria. You're unhappy with the gender you were born. So, okay, so that's like, that gives you a lot of power and insight, you know? It shows that a part of who you really are is something that you're not happy about. Okay? And that part that you're not happy about is the parts that's different from cis women. So in other words, you're not the same thing as a cis woman. So instead of kicking against the pricks and being all upset about it and letting it ruin your day, just learn, you know, there needs to be 3 genders. They're wrong. Like science, the fact of the matter is the gender is a spectrum, okay? So if they're trying to say there's only 2 genders, science proves it, science doesn't prove it. So you're already like, well, they didn't do their research. There can only be 2 genders, and if you're not one thing, then you're the other. Period. End of statement. Boom. That's it. Only possibilities. Well, boom. Let them think what they want. Obviously, they don't care. They don't believe in science. They don't believe in hormones. We're on hormones. You're biologically male, like this how they call, even a lot of trans women, they'll call trans women biologically male. In ways we're biologically male, but in ways we're biologically female too. It's like, do you guys not know what the word biological means? If we have female hormones, that's biological. Okay, biologically, hormones give me female skin. Biologically, hormones give me female hair. Biologically, they give me breasts and milk ducts and tits. Biologically, it does a lot of things, and you'll see what I mean when you go on hormones. Biologically, there are many things that are female. You can see, that's what I have this tattooed on me, which is arguably a dumb idea, because like if I ever pass, all you have to do is look at my wrist and instantly know. But look, some things are female, some things are male, and some things are something in between. 3 is our magic number. It's everybody's magic number. Okay? So we're the 3rd gender, which can identify as male or female. Okay? So I'm a 3rd gender that identifies female. So I'm a trans woman. See that? So it's lower level maturity and lower level thinking to be black and white about things. So as far as like mental health and psychology and everything, they're just being wrong with science, wrong with mental health, wrong with everything when they're trying to make us look like idiots because we're something different than cis women, okay? So in other words, don't argue that we're the same thing. Never say a trans woman is a woman in every way. There's no difference. Don't say that. That's not true. You know, that's not true. There's differences and we're not exactly the same thing. But hopefully we can be loved and appreciated for exactly what we are, which is something different than a cis man. We're not the same thing as a cis man either. Okay, biologically, we're not the same thing as a cis man. Biologically, we're not the same thing as a cis woman. Biologically, we have things that's the same as a cis woman. Biologically, we have things that are the same as a cis man. Okay? So just get a grip on the realities, know the science, stomach through it. It's like the chromosomes and and all those videos are so long, and it's like, oh, all the science and everything. Epigenetics and everything, and just like study the subjects that are relevant and put the information in your head so you can be on the side of the non-ignorant, and so you can make statements that aren't obviously wrong, because somebody's going to notice. If you're just saying some statement that's wrong, someone's going to notice that you said something wrong. And if they notice you said something wrong based on their priest, which doesn't know what he's talking about, that's okay. They're just an idiot. You can't force everybody to not be ignorant. It goes down. It's the same as the misgendering thing. Just some people are going to misgender you. Some people aren't going to like you. Okay. So, hopefully my playlist, I have a playlist on positive thinking. I have a playlist on how comparison is the death of all joy. That's a big one. Remember that. Don't compare yourself to cis women. In this world, the world it ignores women when they're older, and it highlights them when they're like between the ages of like 19 and 26. So we live in a world that thinks a woman is a cis woman between the ages of 19 and 26, which is really just a fraction of all females. There's lots of us that are younger than that. There's lots of us that are older than that. There's lots of us that are third gender, identify female women, trans women. There's a lot more women, women than that, but that's the ones they focus on. So you can get caught up in that game too and start comparing. I'm 49. I'm a 49-year-old trans woman. If I, as a 49-year-old trans woman, am comparing myself to a 20-year-old cis woman, then I'm going to be pretty heartbroken. I can't compete with that. Look how wee and sweet and cute their facial features and their little fingers and everything. It's like, I can't do it, I will go crazy and I will never love myself. Meanwhile, I'm 6'3". There's so many cool things to like about me. So it's just it's a crime. If I was to not like myself because I don't look like a 19-year-old cis woman, it would be a crime against myself, because there's so many things about me that are beautiful and so awesome, So comparison's the death of all joy. It's not a competition. It's the purpose of life is to know thyself, to love and appreciate thyself, and then to take it the next step and love outside of yourself, and then to take the next step and love outside of the species, okay, and love the whole earth. So take the steps of greatness and ego maturity and ego development, and developmental psychology, and go through the steps, and look at my playlist, the spiral living, about the spiral. Know what the spiral is all about. Okay, there's huge wisdom and power in that, and mental health. So I've my YouTube channel is mostly for you guys, other trans women, for any allies of transgender people, and for my son. Just some of the stuff in there is really, I'm just in case he decides to listen to me. He's 20, so right now he doesn't care what I think, but maybe something will happen to me, and then he can look up my YouTube channel even if I'm dead, and he can now, what did Angie think about that, and everything. So, but in a lot of ways, I'm there's lots of stuff that can make you stronger, and I know the other stuff that's out there, other trans women, they're oh my gosh, they can mislead you. They're just too, just you'll see what I mean, because of the things I've just told you, okay? As far as politics, you see these trans women that are no longer Democrat, now they're Republican. Come on, now the BLM and the Democrats they are doing some violent, stupid, riotous things, and it can make you just not want to be a Democrat anymore and think, man, you guys are ruining it for transgender people by making nobody want to be Democrat anymore, but we still might win. And the Republicans, even though they're stepping back and looking at us in our moment of overreacting, the Republicans are never said that they're going to do anything to help us. So why would you go to them? You would want, I think you should vote Democrat, but that's just my opinion. Don't be a Republican. They're up to no, they want to have us destroyed. They believe we're a sin, and they want us to just pay the price for that sin, And so, just like it's not about politics, but yet at the same time they're really important, because our enemies use politics to try to hurt us, so just like don't give them power by voting in their people just because their people happen to look good at the moment and things like that, unless they want to say things that give us reason to believe they're going to help us. But they just don't say as many stupid things right now and things like that. It's the Democrats' time to look kind of stupid, but at least they say they're going to help us, whether they will or not. Don't invest too much in politics. Politics is crap. The puppet master of politicians is money and how we spend our lives. Like on the movie Ants, where the ants realize their oppressive leaders aren't the bosses. If all the people turned on them, there's only a few of them. It's the people. The choices we make, how we spend our money, and how we vote. That's what they're a slave to, and that's the puppet master, and they're the puppet. So. Keep your power in that way too, just keep in focus, know what's going on, but don't let things take you over, there's a lot of bad ideas out there, but don't stand for, just because someone's transgender and they're like, some of the things some trans women say, oh my gosh, a trans woman is 100% the same thing as a cis woman. It's like, oh no, why did you say that? Like, how is anybody supposed to be on our side of the argument if you're going to say such stupid things? We do think, but at the same time, the other side of the argument says, that's true. That's true. Awesome. And they think they won the argument, but they're idiots too, because they're all, the things a woman thinks and feels and goes through, you would never know because you're not really a woman. Well, I'm a trans woman. I really am a woman. I live a woman life. And most of the things a cis woman thinks and feels and goes through during the day is things I can relate with because it's the same things I'm going through. The difference between a trans woman and a cis woman, there's not so much of a difference that the basic things you go through in life are that much different. You hope for the same things, you want the same things. They're like we're biologically designed after millions of years of being a species to this and that. It's like, that's not true. It's all convenient for them because that makes sense in the moment. But meanwhile, I'm looking at a man, because I like men, not women. I look at a man and, I like him. He's turning me on. I'm attracted to him, and I'm not attracted to him. And it's the same, why am I attracted to the same men that they are? Think about it. You know what I mean? Because like according to the people that the antagonists of transgender people, they're saying that's all millions of years of there being men and women have designed women to want a man that takes control and all. Listen to the things they say, okay? And then put yourself in my shoes or a trans woman's shoes. Do you really think that? Do you really think that we want something different in a man? We don't. And it's like they're wrong too. Both sides are wrong. We're not 100% women, but we are women, especially from their perspective. The differences are none of their business. The things that are their business, which is to love thy neighbor as thyself, we're women. Okay? So just like look at the bigger picture and be the bigger woman or the bigger man if you're a trans man, and we got to rise to the occasion. We have the advantage because we live it. Okay, and they just drift through the subject every once in a while. And they hear these really stupid theories and stuff like that are based on the belief that if you can prove there's a difference between a trans woman and a cis woman, that proves that trans women aren't really women. It's like, wow, a wise man once said, it's the questions you ask, not the answers to the stupid questions, but asking the right questions, the right. Is there some detectable difference under a microscope between a cis woman and a trans woman? That's not the right question. That's not the right question. That's for idiots.